Welcome to Movie Dumpster Season 7, Episode 16. Today we're talking about The Monster Squad from 1987, directed by Fred Dekker. And we're going to tell you why this is the best monster mashup of all time. I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
Welcome to The Dumpster. Rockin' till you drop. Dancing till your heart stops.
Oh, that's a good one. Before we started that, I was saying let's start with this song. I was thinking Monster Mash. Let's do the Monster Mash.
Oh.
Not how it goes. I forgot the lyrics to a song I've heard 100 times.
It was a Graveyard Smash, that
there you
one?
Go. Wow, I blew that one.
Holy shit. I was going to say.
Just like Van Helsing blew it in the opening credits, actually.
Yeah, Sean blew it. That was it.
Perfect. Tim Heidecker's laughing at me.
Oh, my God. Dude, there's a lot of bops in this one. There's a few, but, man, after I watched this, like, it's just an earworm, dude. It gets stuck in my head every time, the Rocket Till You Drop song.
You took that cassette tape that you have on the table here and you popped it in and you started listening.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're talking about the Monster Squad. In case you missed the intro there, wow. This is a movie. Before we even really get into this,
go for it.
But one that just, like, the second you think about it, just those universal monsters pop into your mind, at least for me, even before I even think about the actual portrayal of those creatures in this movie. You know, Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi and the gang, Lon Chaney Jr.
Rico Browning, and who was the other guy? It was Rico Browning was the underwater, and Ben Chapman was the above-water creature.
Okay. Just fuzzy, cozy feelings of childhood. Pretty much, I would imagine, for most people watching this, if you got into horror at any age, I feel like most people started those Universal monsters. At least I would hope. People my age, I would imagine, our age.
Well, you kind of took the words out of my mouth because this was my jump off for the Universal monsters.
Just to kind of go off of that whole branch. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we could start there, right?
Yeah. You okay with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dracula, the Wolfman, Gilman, the fucking Mummy. They all appear in this movie, I guess is why I bring that up specifically. And we can talk about the Universal monsters in more depth as we get into this.
Yeah, they're teaming up, man.
In ways you would never imagine, like comic books, kind of like the Avengers. This is like the Avengers, like you said in the beginning, the ultimate monster mash, but it is the Universal monsters without being the Universal monsters. A team up that we always wanted, I guess, is where I was going with that. Is that it's like you have all those creatures that you're like, holy shit, there's that, holy shit, there's that, and they're in one fucking movie.
And you don't have to make 20 movies to get to the one team up thing. And they're just trying to take over the world. Actually, Dracula's trying to take over the world, and they're just kind of there.
Which lines up makes me think of Castlevania, which I wonder if the people making Castlevania saw this movie and were like, all right, steal it, print it, get a castle involved, find a vampire hunter. This is a good idea.
It's possible.
Put those wires on Frankenstein's neck and light him up, baby.
Well, you get sued. You got to put him on his temples, all right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
We'll get to that.
Forgot about that.
Before we get to the Wolfman's Nards, though, if you want some more Movie Dumpster content, you can head over to patreon.com/Movie Dumpster and get an ad-free audio version of the show for only $2 a month, and you can get some other great stuff at the $5 and $10 tiers. We're talking t-shirts, we're talking pins, we're talking sticker packs, live watch-alongs, commentary tracks, all kinds of good stuff. Help support your favorite show.
And if you're watching here on YouTube, please like the video and share it with your friends. It really does help get the word out on the show. And if you're not subscribed, please do that also. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, leave us that 5-star review and a like. It really does help get the word out on the show and get us into more eardrums, eyeballs, and everything in between. And it helps grow the dumpster community, and we want to get more people into the show, checking us out, watching this movies with us. So spread the word.
Got to print some of those Movie Dumpster Monster Squad cards and start handing them out.
Oh, that's a great idea, actually. But we'll make them out of a little better material than just fucking construction paper.
Yeah, but seriously, if you leave the comment or the review, like that helps us more than anything, more than buying anything or anything of the sort like that. And if you do want to buy some stuff like this "My Name is Horace" t-shirt, or
Goro's
Sean's
got nards.
Goro's got nards. Not only the Wolfman, but Goro also has nards as well, and they're actually on the tee dangling for you to see.
Johnny Cage punched them, so we know they exist.
But you can head over to moviedumpsterpodcast.com, and there's a store there. There's links to the Patreon, like we've mentioned already, and there's a calendar where you can find all kinds of good stuff that's coming up, where you can find the Dumpster Boys and come hang out with us at live events. So check that out. So yeah, man, the Monster Squad. Now, did you grow up with this movie? I think we've had this conversation before.
I think we have personally. Yeah. I did not grow up with this movie. The Universal Monsters I already mentioned. I grew up with those heavily in the house.
I'm so surprised that your old man didn't have this on for you little boys. You had Ghostbusters.
Oh, Ghostbusters was definitely one that was always on.
And Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, yeah, we had the tape of that. Funnily enough, I was talking to my dad about doing this episode, and he said he never even fucking saw it. I couldn't believe it.
He never saw this movie?
Unless he just forgot. I don't know how you would forget seeing this one.
I want to see what your dad thinks. He'll probably love it, man.
I mean, he loves those characters like Dracula and everything. House of Frankenstein and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
He went down deep into the rabbit hole, into the Universal Monster rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But I distinctly remember watching this for the first time, like in the screen house at my parents' old house when I was a kid, maybe the same age as little Eugene in this film.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so you were pretty young when you first saw it. Yeah.
My parents, they always had an in-ground pool growing up, no matter where we lived. I guess my dad, he couldn't live without it. He loved swimming so much, and I mean, I did too. I wasn't paying for it though.
It was a nice pool. I was in that pool.
Yes, you have been.
Quite a few times.
But long story short, they had a screen house in my one parent's house, and I'd always watch like fucking Nickelodeon stuff after, drying off. You can't go inside right away. Mom doesn't want you dripping all over the place.
Sure.
And for some reason, this movie was just on TNT or something. Maybe I caught it halfway through.
Probably. It had a big life on cable.
Yeah, but it enamored me, and it wasn't something I owned, so I kind of had to find it again the next time it was on to catch the whole picture. So I didn't necessarily grow up with it, but I remember seeing it at a young age, and I guess the rest is history. This is definitely one that stuck with me, much like those Universal Monsters. I mean, I'm kind of joking that I think of them first, but how could you not think of the way that these characters are kind of brought out of those black and white movies and kind of given a new coat of paint. I mean, it's an 80s coat of paint, so me in the 90s watching it, maybe some of that magic is a little lost, but I'm still the right age.
Yeah, we're gonna drill down into that a little bit once we get into talking about the movie.
What about yourself, though?
Well, first,
look at the table first before you answer.
And this isn't even like half of it, dude.
Sure, yeah.
Because I didn't want to put the LP on the table, but I also had the soundtrack from TerrorVision that they just put out.
Okay.
Well, not just put out. I think they put it out last year. But they put it out on vinyl and they put it out on tape. So of course I had to have both. Because I'm a weirdo like that.
You like your collectibles.
It's fucking Monster Squad.
Yeah.
But just to your point of your dad never seeing it real quick, this kind of bombed at the box office because they weren't sure how to market it exactly. We're gonna get to that in a little bit, but I just wanted to mention that. So I'm kind of I'm not surprised your old man hadn't seen it.
I'm shocked when he told me that, but maybe that'll make more sense when I have context.
Yeah. This is one of those films that I mentioned it on I can't remember what episode it was, but it's one of those movies that is just a part of my DNA. I could not tell you the first time I saw this movie.
Wow.
It's just part of who I am. It's like Little Monsters, it's like Ghostbusters. Monster Squad is in there too. Killer Clowns is in there too. These are just flicks that had a life on cable. I rented this fucking movie all the time. And I would assume, I guess the first time I saw it was probably on cable and my mom or my dad had it on or something. But Wolfman's got nards. We always just say it in the house. My mom, I can vividly remember my mom singing like the Monster Squad rap at the end.
Oh God, I love that
Gotta
thing.
get up, we got work to do.
We were doing a lot of that in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of Ninja Turtles.
A turtle power, man.
I think even Addams Family has some in there, but maybe I'm conflating that with the MC Hammer that Cousin Hit's listening to.
No, MC Hammer did it, and I think Tag Team did the second one, right? But it was basically like Whoop, the Addams Family there. So it was just a variation of Whoop, there it is,
and
but the Addams Family.
We've definitely talked about in this long catalog now of movies we've covered. There's been several. The names are escaping me that I've had them. I don't know name, nor did it have one. Tammy might have had one. Tammy and the T-Rex might have had one.
Tammy and the T-Rex had one, but it wasn't. Nobody knows about that one. But I think a good modern reference would be Psycho Goreman.
Oh,
had one at the end. And
callback,
And I thought that was one of the coolest fucking things.
Well, we didn't review it, but Back in the Hood actually is the best one ever with Leprechaun, with London singing.
Yeah.
That actually is the all-timer. But no, the Monster Squad rap is kind of great.
But the epitome of late 80s, early 90s, if it was a kid's movie or kid-adjacent movie, it usually had some type of theme song rap thing. The good old days, No,
you're right.
But yeah, I don't really remember the first time I saw it, but it's just part of who I am. And you mentioned growing up with the Universal Monsters. Like, this was my exposure to the Universal Monsters. This was the first things that I'm I remember
like
from
pre-Dracula, pre-Frankenstein.
like I remember seeing Dracula and the Mummy and Wolfman and the Gillman for the first time in this movie. Like as far as back as I can remember in my head. Like none of the black and white movies.
Okay.
I'm sure my old man had watched them and put them on and stuff, but like this is what I think about when you say Universal Monsters.
You know, it's funny. I did say that a lot of people probably did come to the Universal Monsters first, but now that you put that idea in my head, maybe I just had a very different experience and I'm just jumping to a conclusion there.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. It could be conflated. I think memories lie anyway for the most part.
Mandela effect.
And that's why I really can't remember. And I'd be lying to you if I told you that like I remember sitting down with this for the first time and watching it. I've seen it so many times thereafter, and I remember glimpses and pieces, and we'll talk about it as we go through, and things I remembered from when I was a kid that used to freak me the fuck out. But I also loved it's one of those kind of things.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But yeah, I just have a huge affinity for this movie, and it was a very formative movie for me too. And kind of solidified my love for monsters and monster movies. And it's one of those movies where like you can always put yourself in the shoes of the kids, and that's what you did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've talked about that, like Salem's Lot, which we just covered, similar with Mark.
Right. But it's one of those things where it's a kids movie, but it's not necessarily for kids. Like
it definitely rides the fucking line. This is like a little harder than Goonies, I would even say.
This was the golden time where adults were taking kids and putting them in situations where like maybe it wasn't the best choice to do. Maybe a little bit darker, but it was real. Like I remember being out and being a kid and cursing and you know all that kind of shit.
We were doing it.
Yeah, but like it feels real, I guess is my point.
It does.
And again, I mentioned the marketing of this movie before, and they weren't sure exactly who it was for. Was it for teens? Was it for adults? Was it for younger kids? But not really. You know what I mean? And
I would say teens and up, maybe not little kids.
I mean, it's a pretty intense film.
That's what I mean, yeah.
You know, and like even stuff like Little Monsters, like that's technically made for kids, but that's an intense film as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The closest thing I can even think of is, it's not even the same kind of movie, but Goonies, but even that is like tamer compared to this, even though there's some pretty heavy shit in Goonies.
It's a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, it's more of an adventure film, to be totally fair. This is like kind of straight horror, especially some of those action scenes towards the end, right? Yeah.
Well, this is like horror movie for kids. Goonies is like Indiana Jones for kids. Question mark.
Yeah, kind of.
Does that make sense?
And I'm just trying to think of something comparable. Not that we have to always do that,
but yeah, man, let's jump into the behind the scenes of this. I'm not going to go too heavy deep into it. There's so much wonderful things out there that you can check out. And jumping all the way back to the DVD, the 20th anniversary DVD, when that hit, it was the first time this movie got a proper treatment on disc, and it had a bunch of stuff. And you know, I've talked about Mike Felsher a lot, and he's with Red Shirt Pictures, and he's done a lot of stuff for the Shout Factory Blu-rays and stuff that we've reviewed and things like that. So all the way back when he did this Lionsgate DVD, there's like a 5-part documentary on there.
I was trying to do the math in my head. I guess that was 2008, so that's about right. I was like, wow, it took that long. And I was like, no, that's about the time when they were doing a lot of those.
Well, it was the first time that it was on disc, and I remember that like it was yesterday, buying it on disc, because up until that point I only had the tape.
Probably went to the Suncoast. That's no longer there.
Oh, that was in the Suncoast stack,
Suncoast,
baby.
Guys?
Yeah. I used to
R.I.P. man.
I'll tell the story again because there's probably new listeners that haven't heard it. But like, I used to go to Suncoast at Tom's River at the Ocean County Mall.
I went with you many times myself.
I would drag his ass in there.
I'd find some stuff too.
I know, but like I'd be like, I gotta go in there because I had this fucking like laundry list of shit that I would hand over to the counter to the girl that I knew that worked there, and I was like, hey, put these all in a stack for me, and I'll come back and like at the end of the week or whenever they all drop. Because I can't remember exactly what it was, or upcoming movies or upcoming DVDs.com or some shit. I don't know if that's still a thing or back in the day. But I used to write the dates that everything was going to be released and what it was and how much it was, and I'd budget it all out and made sure I had the money for it, and hand her the list, and then I'd walk out with a fucking stack of shit.
They knew you were going to come back and buy it. It's not like you were just some flake that was just like, could you hold this for you? And you never paid for it.
And it was one of those things where like you couldn't just jump on the internet yet and buy something.
Not like that.
It's not. We weren't quite there yet. So it was like if they only got a stock of 5 or 6 of them, once they're gone, that's it, and then you can't get them. So I always made sure that I had her put one to the side for me, whatever I wanted. So yeah, that was one of them. But I thought it was cool too because there was I was rewatching some of the special features and shit, and the whole thing of why I mentioned it in the first place was there's a ton of behind the scenes stuff, and we're not going to go super deep, but a little deep.
Okay.
But on that disc specifically, and it actually carried over to the Kino Lorber 4K disc release that just came out not too long ago, is a part of the documentary, or the 5-parter documentary on that, is the Monster Mania from 2007, which I had gone to, and it was a Monster Mania reunion.
And the whole cast was there?
Yeah, well, not the whole cast. It was Duncan Rager. I think that's how you say. I think that's how you say.
Yeah, Dracula.
Rieger. It's either Rieger or Rager. Tom Noonan was there. Fred Dekker was there. Andre Gower was there. Lambert was there, and the girl who plays Phoebe was there. So I had them all on my poster and stuff. But there's like footage from that convention, that Monster Mania that we always talk about. Monster Mania.
Well, we do. You're right,
and it's on that fucking disc.
Are you on the disc? Did you check?
We were checking. We were always looking. I was like,
the magnifying glass.
No, I wasn't in there.
I got a better chance of finding you in there than Tony in the fucking Dark Knight Rises.
That's a fact, Jack.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool to see that, and I was like, holy shit, I was there, and I don't know, it increased my connectiveness to the film.
Oh yeah, talk about being getting those warm and fuzzy feelings. That's fucking tapping into something, right?
Yeah, sure was. But yeah, there's that disc, there's the Kino Lorber disc. All the stuff from the DVD is onto the Kino Lorber disc. If you want to get it on UHD, which I highly recommend because it's really, the picture's great. Definitely grab it. But you can check it all out there. Plus, there's a full documentary called Wolfman's Got Nards.
I saw that. I haven't actually seen it.
Yeah.
But I saw it existed.
Definitely check that one out. That's kind of like a definitive Legacy of Monster Squad documentary. I actually got to see it because they did the Monster Squad at the Mahoning Drive-In, and Andre Gower came. I brought my tape. I had him sign my tape. And he was awesome. I got to meet him again. I had met him way back in 2007, and then I got to meet him again like a few years ago.
He plays Sean, right?
Mm-hmm. Super cool guy. But they showed Monster Squad, and they showed Wolfman's Got Nards documentary like back to back.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
On the big screen at Mahoning, and it was really cool. It was a really great time. So if you want your full deep dive of Monster Squad, definitely go check out those discs and check out Wolfman's Got Nards, because you don't want to miss it if you haven't seen it already. All right. So this movie is directed by Fred Dekker.
Yes.
In his sophomore effort. He's coming off of Night of the Creeps.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. That's crazy. Next year. Back to back.
It's the next year. However, Monster Squad was written and finished before Night of the Creeps. He teamed up with Shane Black.
Yeah, I always forget about that when that name pops up. I'm like, oh, yeah, the Predator guy. Duh.
Yeah, well, Shane and Fred are... I mean, between this and all the other stuff that they've done together, it's just fucking awesome.
Oh, they always work together or have a lot?
They were good friends, and they worked together a lot. I think this is Shane's first writing credit is for Monster Squad. I believe so. Because this comes out the same year as Predator, but I think he's just acting in Predator.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
And like his additional dialogue and shit of him,
right?
All the Hawkins character and his jokes and all that shit.
She said, "Why did you say that twice?" I said I didn't.
So yeah, this was Fred's kind of love letter. Like, whereas Night of the Creeps was like the love letter to all his favorite B movies and sci-fi movies, and let me throw everything in a blender and make Night of the Creeps. This was his ode to the Universal monsters and all the films that he grew up with, and what happens if you put them all together. I think one of his biggest inspirations was Abbott and Costello Frankenstein.
The words were on your lips. I was just waiting for them to come out. I was thinking that.
Which is my favorite of the Abbott and Costello movies, and it was the first time you got to see all the monsters together, and it kind of acts as the 80s kid version of that.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
That's a big, like, that's the root of it, right?
That's definitely the style of comedy they're going for. This isn't hyper serious. This isn't Fright Night. This isn't The Lost Boys, or even any of the many Wolfman remakes. This is kind of like, hey, let's take these characters and drop them in this kind of playful environment.
Yes.
Like, there are stakes. Don't get me... There's puns.
Oh, there's definitely stakes.
Oh, God, that one's going to keep coming out. Sorry, any vampire movie, unfortunately, that one's going to get dropped. But yeah, there are literal stakes, both versions, but it never feels like the world's going to end. The characters are in danger, but that's not the kind of movie they're trying to make.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the crux of it, but it's much more about
The adventure.
The adventure and the kids being friends and having to stop them and like nobody's going to believe you that the monsters are real.
Right,
so
a bunch of 12-year-olds.
The kids got to step up and take charge, you know what I mean? And scary German guy, of course.
Oh, God.
So like I said, I'm not going to go super, super deep. I just wanted to kind of note the director and Fred Dekker. I mean, everybody kind of remembers him for fucking up RoboCop and all that kind of shit.
He did 3, right?
He did 3, yeah, which sucks because he kind of went to fucking director jail for that, you know?
How could that entirely be his fault, though? You're on the second sequel, not as much money, different direction. They want to sell more toys.
I don't know, dude. He's made some.
He's not great anyway. But.
He's made some of the best cult classic movies, and I feel like he doesn't get he hasn't had his just desserts yet. He even wrote House.
Yeah, I saw that. Now, that's crazy.
I forgot because we had talked about that way back.
We need to circle back on that and eventually do a review. I know we did one on a different podcast.
I want to do it legit on ours.
Yeah.
We did House 2, a full one for us, but I want to circle back to House and do it proper, because that's a movie that's very close to me as well. And of course, one of the biggest draws to this movie, I think, for anybody, especially a little kid, are the monsters.
Oh,
clearly.
The effects.
Yeah, the effects. And it's done by the maestro himself, Stan Winston Studios. And that whole fucking team. We're talking Stan.
This is prime time.
We are
Stan
talking
Winston team.
Stan Winston in its fucking prime. We got Alec Gillis. We got Tom Woodruff Jr. We got Steve Wang.
Heavy hitters.
We got Matt Rose. They're all here. They're all kicking fucking ass. And everything is just so good.
It's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even think of a single effect. Not to just instantly nitpick, but like everything just looks so good. Sometimes you see a movie and you're like, man, 95% of it was there, but there was that one thing. You're like, I couldn't nail that one little thing. It's like everything's firing, man. It's perfect.
Totally. John Rosengrant, Shane Mahan, they're all the gang's all here. Who have all
the FX squad?
Yeah.
The SFX squad?
Yeah, the SFX squad, dude. The Stan Winston squad.
There you go.
They got work to do for sure.
Oh God, they had a lot of work on this one. Digital, makeup, they pretty much every kind of effect I could think of. They kind of were doing a little bit of everything.
It's the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. Okay,
It is.
Yeah. So, their whole thing was they couldn't use the likenesses of the Universal monsters, so
it's better for it.
Yeah, but that's such a monumentally daunting task of having to take these iconic characters and make them in a way where they're still recognizable, but legally distinct.
Right, because I don't even, unless you just can correct me on this, is he actually even called Dracula, or are we just calling him Dracula because looks like Dracula?
No, it's Dracula.
It is, okay.
It's Frankenstein. I think what
they do say Frankenstein.
I think what the thing is you can say the name, you can use the names because the names are copyrighted or in public domain.
It gets wishy-washy.
But the visage of them, like, for instance, when Tom Noonan's makeup for the Frankenstein's monster couldn't have the bolt on the neck.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
Why
they changed it to the temples.
Right. Okay, that makes sense, actually.
They took Millicent Patrick's wonderful Gillman and put their own flair on it.
That's probably the most, that and Wolfman are the most impressive.
Yeah, Matt Rose fucking crushed that. So Matt Rose and Steve Wang, bam, put them together, and you got magic. And again, you got this whole team's working on Predator as well. By the way,
that's crazy to me, and it's almost like kind of makes me think of Creep Show or something out of a comic book. I mean, all the monsters, but especially, I mean, those two and the Mummy. There's just a little bit extra with the makeup and I don't know, just the way they make these characters look, the way the eyes are bugging out, just some of the side profiles on these. They almost borderline on cartoonish. Like that Wolfman, you could sit there and be like, it's almost over the edge, but it never goes there. And like the howl is creepy.
If you look at that Wolfman. Now Stan sculpted the Wolfman face. And then I think either Alec or Tom. I think Alec might have helped him finish it or worked on it. But if you look at it, it fucking looks like Stan Winston.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Okay, I gotta look at that.
Like they separated the eyes a little bit, and they went for like an animatronic head instead of having it. Like makeup on a guy's face. Like
it works
like
really
a traditional Wolfman. Oh, dude, it's one of the best ever. And of course, Tom Woodruff is in the Gillman suit. He's my favorite.
Okay.
Gillman's my favorite. Clearly.
Show the tattoo.
Obviously, I'm sure people have seen it before, but there it is.
Well, call it out.
Yeah, there it is.
I think if I had to just on the spot, man, I was gonna rewatch all those because I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe Frankenstein, because I've watched most of those movies the most, especially the first three.
Frank's your favorite?
If I had a gun to my head. But Wolfman as an idea, I like a lot, but I've watched Frankenstein and Bride and Son so many times.
I like Wolfman because it's...
Or Ghost, I mean.
Yeah, I like Wolfman because it's probably the most tragic character of the Universal monsters. I mean, Frankenstein.
Yes.
Frankenstein is made, and he can't figure out why. But the Wolfman is like this guy who has a complete like alternate ego that he can't control. You know what I mean?
Which they lean into this. It's kind of almost like a Larry Talbot character.
It's
not
great.
as nuanced as Larry Talbot.
I don't know.
And also, I just to correct myself before someone in the comments does, it was Son is the third one, Ghost is the fourth one. I guess up to Ghost. Frankenstein shit. Anyway,
Is that the one with Glenn Strange? Is
that's when it
Frankenstein?
starts to be. Yeah, the third one is Son. That's the last one Karloff did.
Yeah.
And then he comes back as like a mad scientist in other movies and shit.
Right. And I mean, what else can you say? The effects are just fucking incredible, and we'll talk about them still as we go through. But the last thing I wanted to note was something that I found really interesting. Liam Neeson was originally supposed to play Dracula in this movie.
Well, I love the guy that did it, but that could have been interesting.
And I'm so glad that it was Duncan because
same.
Duncan, we're going to get to him, but he is only second to Gary Oldman in
For you?
For me personally. He is one of the best fucking Draculas to ever do it, in my opinion.
He kind of nails the character in a modern take. Like, they don't really lean into the hokiness of things that they could, where it's like, oh, he's in modern times. It's just, no, he's intimidating. He's cold. He knows what the fuck he's after the entire film. Yeah. And he goes after the things he wants.
I mean, he can drive a car.
That's it. It's only been 100 years, Joe.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's kind of implied that, like, yeah, he's been alive. He's been
to
that
America
long.
or something. That's kind of
they have cars in Europe too.
Yeah, part of the movie is the plot is very strict. We'll get to a plot crunch shortly.
Yeah.
The plot isn't that involved. It's very simple, point A to point B, which you don't need anything more than that for this film. It all kind of works because of that, but you're right, there's kind of weird shit here, and they were like, yeah, Dracula's driving a Dracula. Okay, I guess so. Why not? Fuck it.
It works for me. It's fine.
Winston Zeddemore called. He wants his joke back.
The dead rising from the grave.
Actually, he might have stole. I think that was the next year. They stole it from them, actually.
Judgment Day. Yeah.
We'll get to
They
it.
bought it from Dracula. Maybe.
Ivan Reitman, hey, get on the phone. Hey, Harold Ramis, call up the fucking Monster Squad people. See if you can steal that joke for the Winston Zeddemore ghost train scene.
Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to plot crunch this one? Let's get into the Monster Squad TM.
Sure. I was just saying the plot's pretty straightforward, but let's talk about it.
Go for it.
This movie kicks off with our Van Helsing character literally failing to stop Dracula, but there's a caveat where now for 100 years, not a whole lot happens, but this amulet will weaken. And this amulet basically controls the balance of good and evil, and there's like a small window where it can be destroyed that Dracula knows about.
Yes.
So he's coming back with his minions to destroy it to this little town somewhere in America. And these little kids somehow find out they come into possession of Abraham Van Helsing's diary. Mom gets it at a yard sale or some shit. It's not really clear.
It's great.
And they're just kind of by accident figuring out that the town's about to be taken over and the world's possibly going to end unless they do something. And the only people that know is this scary German guy they confide in, and the one teenager that they think might be able to help him, this guy Rudy, who's kind of cool. The Steve from Stranger Things, if you will. There was always that one older kid in the group. And they kind of band together to stop the monsters, or they might get a little help from one of the monsters, actually, and a little girl who they don't want in the club. They don't want this little girl in the club, but she's actually critical to their success. And yeah, they fight the monsters. That's the gist of it.
So the movie opens in one of my favorite ways is with the opening text crawl that tells you all about what's happening and
with
Dracula and Van Helsing. And I think it's just funny because at the end they're like, they blew it.
Oh, that's why I was joking.
Because they tried to stop the evil,
It tells you what it is. Like right off the bat, you're like, oh, this is cheeky. This is going to be kind of funny.
It sets the whole tone.
Right, before you even see a single actor walk on the screen. I like that.
Right out of the gate, this movie just immediately feels amazing.
Oh yeah, this cold open.
This cold open, it's like lightning, it's nighttime, it's like this Grim Reaper over a like a cross in a cemetery, and this music kicks up from Bruce Broughton, and It is just so good. It's like an homage to like the classic Universal Monster themes.
It is.
The
Mm-hmm.
but it's just so good and it fits it so well. And I think honestly, it's one of the things that really ties everything together for me.
The music, yeah.
Is the music, yeah.
I love how we're kind of just going around this castle or what have you, and we kind of focus in on this bat. And you're like, all right, is that a vampire? Yes, it is. It's Dracula himself. He loves to do this in this movie. He constantly is transforming.
Yeah.
You don't even need it to happen. It's just like, Fred Decker's like, fuck it, make him transform again. It'll look cool. It's like, all right.
Yeah. But it's probably one of the best intros to Dracula like ever. And like going around everything, you got like the castle and the armadillos from the classic. There's like little smatterings of that around, and I just love it so much. And again, the effects are so fucking good, and to see the classic monsters for the first time in a contemporary way is just so badass.
And then the movie kind of drip feeds you for a little while.
Yeah.
You don't really mind it because this intro is so captivating because you expect Dracula to now come out and just fight off Van Helsing and his minions, which aren't really named. They're not important to the plot.
No.
But it's just the vampiresses, the brides are sent in.
Yeah. Well, the reason, and you're probably wondering, like, where's Dracula? Why isn't he fighting them? Apparently, there was a deleted scene where they had captured Dracula already and staked his ass.
Oh.
So that's why they're at the castle, and he's not there coming after them. So that's why you get the bride and that shit.
I wonder if they cut that because it confused people?
It's not really... I like it better.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That he's not there at all.
You don't need him for this. You get the point.
You don't need him, and I think it streamlines the point of what they're trying to do, and there's no confusion to what this amulet does and stuff, because this is a really cool scene.
Yeah.
Everything's established here, all the lore for this amulet. So this amulet's in Dracula's castle. Van Helsing comes in. They go to grab it. All of a sudden, the fucking castle starts shaking. The floors are breaking.
Like it's just falling apart like the end of a Zelda game. Ganon's defeated. The castle's collapsing. Get the fuck out.
Gozer's on the top of the Evo Shandor building, and the Ecto one's going underground. So there's like these skeletal zombies that are crawling up. Again, there's a couple brides of Dracula there.
Well, I love this because there's a callback to it later where Van Helsing has the crossbow with the stake on it, and he shoots it and takes out one of the brides.
Yeah, she's like eating a fucking fox or something.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
We also have the Virgin.
The Virgin, yeah.
Reading the incantation.
Read or we're all gonna die!
Yeah, as this portal fucking opens, this vortex.
It's limbo.
Yeah, as we find out.
It's limbo. So what has to happen is either the forces of evil destroy the amulet and darkness engulfs the earth,
right,
or Van Helsing opens the portal to limbo and all the evil gets sucked in.
Which he does, and I guess that's why there's a 100-year reprieve.
Yeah, because, well, they missed the window. They open limbo, but he gets sucked in. So yeah, we're bopped right into present day, and we get introduced to Sean and Patrick, who are in the principal's office for drawing monsters in class when they should be learning.
A spider with the human body.
Spider with human head?
Oh, that's what it is, yeah.
I'm sorry, spider.
And they're talking about, well, the teacher, by the way, don't repeat this. I don't agree with this. But, sure, her head looks like a cat, so we call her Meow Mix. But, that's kind of beneath me. And the principal's like, you're not sure if he's actually laughing at it or not, or just like kind of perturbed.
But I don't, sir, because how rude.
Right, yeah.
Patrick's like trying to cover his own ass. They call her Meow Mix because her head's shaped like a cat head.
Robbie Kiger playing Patrick, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you recognize this kid?
No.
He's a little younger in it, but he's in Children of the Corn.
Yes, okay.
I was like, why does this fucker look so familiar? That's what he's from.
He's great in this. It's so funny. Then the principal's like, all right, boys, you can't be drawing pictures in your science class. And look, I get it. I was a kid. I like monsters, And you know what? I think science is cool. I dig it, man.
He's like, well, science is real, monsters are. And then he's like,
yeah.
Sean goes, well, we don't know that for a fact, sir.
Yeah, science is real and monsters are not. Well, we don't know that, sir.
Yeah.
Fucking suspended or whatever's happening to them.
And then I'm just going to mention this very briefly. And I know someone's going to yell at me for even commenting on this, but this is where we get a little bit of Fred Dekker's unfortunate. I know he's trying to do the humor of the time, but there's a couple homophobic jokes in this.
It's not the humor of the time.
I don't
think it's homophobic at all.
I don't know how to word it. It kind of takes me out of the movie. I don't know.
It's a bully being a bully.
Well, Sean's got a line too. That's where it kind of loses me. When it's EJ, the brother from Wonder Years, I'm like, okay, let him be an asshole. But when Sean's making homophobic jokes, I'm like, all right, he's the main character. What are we doing here, movie? And they do it in Night of the Creeps with the main character. Yeah. It's a minor nitpick. It doesn't lose any stars, but I feel like I have to at least mention it because every time I watch the movie, I'm like, forgot about that.
Kids from the 80s and the 90s. I know. That's what they talked like.
I would be remiss to not mention it.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yes, we cut to EJ, the brother. Again, I have his name written down, but he's the fucking brother from Wonder Years. Look him up if you want to know what he's been up to
I already
lately.
saw this one. What do you mean? It's brand new.
Oh, right.
He's Marty McFly's cousin or something.
Oh, yeah, he's in that too.
His
You're right.
uncle, his uncle, yeah.
But he's the bully. He's picking on our one of our favorite characters. You're wearing the shirt.
Oh, Horace, baby.
The fat kid.
Fat kid. And what makes fat kid fat? Fat kid?
Oh, with the Snickers?
They're like interviewing him and shit.
Oh, my God.
Just like busting his balls. Fat kid, can't you stop eating?
I just had a thought. Imagine him in fucking heavyweights. He would have fit right in with Salami Sam.
He would have been hanging out with Salami Sam. They would have took care of him, you know?
He would have had a good time.
Yeah, he would have had a great time. But these fucking bastards are busting this kid's balls. He's not bothering anybody. He's reading his comic book. He's just hanging out, eating his Snickers bar, and they gotta fuck with him. They rip his comic book in half. EJ steps on his fucking Snickers bar. And Horace actually stands up for himself. He's like, you're an asshole. But he says it like under his breath.
Yeah, and just before we get too deep into it, Brent Chalem, rest in peace. This actor played Horace. Yeah, he died very young of pneumonia, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's
of all things.
It's terrible, but you know
he's great in this though.
But he's so good in this. I mean,
I wish he was in more. It's like one of those. But as you were saying, Rudy comes in. Yeah. With his little scene where he's like, yeah, EJ.
Ryan Lambert is great.
Pick up that food and eat it. It's yours, right? He's like, no.
No, he comes in on the... Now, he's the Stray Cats looking motherfucker. He's got his leather jacket. He's got his penny loafers
greaser
on.
Kind of thing.
Smoking a cigarette. He's like 15 or whatever.
Is there a line? Did I fuck the line up?
Yeah, because the whole joke is, looks like you dropped your candy bar, EJ.
Oh, yeah, you got me there. Okay, that's a better line. I totally butchered it.
And he's like... Eat up, and we'll call it a day. Because he's making, he's embarrassing him in front of all the kids.
Well, it was also Rudy.
Or he's going to kick his ass. He's like, I see you met my friend Horace.
Yeah, well, it's like, he kind of is like defending Horace, but also like, he kind of respects Horace for not just kind of taking the beating. Because, like you said, Horace throws it back in their face.
Well, yeah, because Rudy's cool like that. And he's like, you're bullying this kid for no reason, and I'm not going to let you fuck with him.
No.
So Horace wants Rudy to join...
The monster squad.
Well, at this point, it's the Monster Club.
Oh, yeah, right.
We don't get the Monster Squad until the very end of the movie.
They withhold that name.
Yeah, but I love this because we see Sean and Patrick like walking home from school talking about the Wolfman.
Oh, yeah. Well, he wears pants. He's obviously got a job.
And he's like, he's got a job. He could drive a car. And he's like, Wolfman can't drive a car. I mean, this is just like shit that we would talk about like as kids,
Because they're talking about, well, of course his pants don't rip. Those movies were made in the 40s. You don't want his wolf dork hanging out.
Those movies were made in the 40s, Sean. Well, you didn't want to see his wolf dork.
But speaking of wolf dorks, here comes little Phoebe.
Yeah, Phoebe's there, and she's Sean's little sister.
She's great.
She's so funny.
Ashley Bank.
Yeah, Ashley Bank. I'm sorry. I forgot her name at the beginning of the episode. She's so sweet and so cute, and she wants to join the Monster Club. And she's like, "Wait up, guys!
I know about monsters. Come on!
Yeah, look, guys, scary German guy.
Oh, this house on Nemeth Street, house. That's what they want you to feel like, but it kind of looks more like the one from a Sandlot, where it's very normal. It's just the kid's imagination.
Well, because he's an old guy, he's German, lives by himself. You know what I mean?
Kind of doesn't seem like he leaves the house a lot because they even make that comment like, "Oh, he's on welfare. Just leave him alone." I guess that means he doesn't leave or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there all kinds of
rumors.
The adults talking about
like
it,
Home Alone,
and they pick it up. Yeah, he's like the South Bend Shovel Slayer. Yeah,
and not to just say this the whole review, but that is another reason why this movie works really well. These kids are 12. They're just in their neighborhood, just passing stories around, talking about movies and shit. Of course, this is what you'd be talking about.
So we get introduced to him, and he's played by Leonard Cimino. Or Chimino, I don't know.
He's in a ton of shit.
He's in a ton of shit, but most notably what I remember him from, besides this, he's scary German guy, and he's Baron Harkonnen's fucking guy who like sucks the juice out of his boils.
Oh my God,
you're so beautiful, my Baron. Ugh. Yeah. So then we cut to this plane shot, and these guys are flying this plane, and I mentioned in the Salem's Lot review that we did about how they might have got some influence from Tobe Hooper's scene with the crate, with the crate coming up in the back of the truck. So these guys are flying this plane, and
David Proval, by the way,
yeah.
is the pilot. This is a definite fucking that guy. He is in so many things, specifically The Sopranos. He was in a few years. He was also did a voice in Wizards, he's in UHF, Mean Streets. Anyway, in this one, he's just some fucking pilot who gets freaked out.
He's great, man. He's just funny as hell. He's like, I can't believe I'm up here with these dead bodies. I should be having a party and all this shit. And
he wants to have a monster mash.
Yeah. So, they're flying these crates. They have Dracula's coffin and
I guess Frankenstein's
monster. Why they're on a plane, where they're going, I'm not really sure.
Dracula got bored, though. We came out of the coffin. He's fucking flying around because this guy goes in the back. He's like, I gotta go check it out.
Yeah.
And this bat's just fluttering around. Ah!
It's pretty great, though. And I think Drac, like, wakes up and does the bat thing to be like, all right, it's time to get off. This is where Van Helsing's mansion or whatever is.
Oh, he had a radar in his coffin. He's like, all right, we're getting close.
Well, I guess he has a feeling he like can feel the amulet or whatever, right? And he's not sure exactly where it is, or maybe he does know exactly where it is.
That's true.
But dude like drops his ass.
Pulls a lever,
He pulls a lever and Frankenstein's crate falls down. You don't know it's Frankenstein yet, but the crate falls out and Drac turns into a bat and just flies out. And this fucking guy's just hanging over the edge like,
oh, God, yeah. I do love the quick scene, though, while that's happening, when Dracula's just floating in the air, kind of like...
It's so good. His cape falls off.
Yeah.
And that's cool, too, because, like, where do you think this crate lands?
This is one of the coolest fucking swamp sets I've ever seen.
It's awesome.
Like custom made.
It's like
for
a
movie.
fucking bayou, dude.
And it has like the perfect amount of cheesy look to it. Like it's realistic looking, but it also has that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what movie kind of makes me think of that? That does it well. In a much smaller scale because it's like one scene.
Yeah.
Ernest Saves Christmas.
Okay.
Has that one scene when Joe Dorito's doing the horror movie and they try to do like a Gilman ripoff.
Yeah.
It's got a similar vibe.
Yeah, but you know what's funny about that too? You mentioned Ernest Scared Stupid, but this kind of reminds me of like the woods behind Old Lady Hackmore's house.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I mean, I thought about the Christmas one, but yeah.
No.
Right,
But I'm just saying, the high ground is right down the street from this.
Perfect vibe, but this looks incredible. The swamp with the crate falling in.
It's so good.
And this they come back to this location many times, and it looks creepy every time.
But it's like right behind Sean's house.
Well, apparently.
More or less. It's pretty close because Dracula's cape ends up falling in a tree behind the treehouse.
Well, his cape, that thing works like goddamn Doctor Strange. This thing's flying around, right?
And speaking of the treehouse, I love this treehouse. I always wanted this when I was a kid. It's just so fucking cool. It's this big giant treehouse in the backyard, overlooking this swamp. It's just so awesome. And there's like multiple tiers to it. There's movie posters, and they got their lunch and like a cooler and shit up there. Somehow the dog is up there.
Oh, Pete,
yeah,
the beagle,
little Pete, yeah.
I had a beagle as a kid.
Yeah.
My parents have a beagle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm a cat guy now, but the beagle. Anytime I see a beagle in a movie, I always like that. And it's funny how they're like, Eugene, get this dog out of here. They keep saying, get the cat or the dog away from there.
How does this dog get up here anyway?
They figure out how to get Frankenstein out there. They got a fucking pulley system or something.
They must, right?
They got the Buchanan technology. John Hurt installed it for him. I mean, it's Frankenstein Unbound. If there's a movie that's ever involved, there's a fucking portal in this film.
Well,
Frankenstein adjacent shit.
Now that you mention
MDU, Joe.
Now that you mention it, the amulet must be an alternate gateway, just like the Buchanan, to Limbo.
Okay, let's just talk about this for 1 second. So Frankenstein Unbound, movie dumpster universe.
Yeah.
Do you think at the end of Frankenstein Unbound, when John Hurt finds out like Future City that he basically kills? They don't say that flat out in the movie, but according to the book, Smith told us that he kills, like, he turns the power off or whatever.
Yeah, he shocks him with the lasers or whatever.
Do you think the power source was a fucking amulet?
It could be. That's what's in Baby, right?
He installed it in there. That's like gave it the power to travel space. Then he picked the ball one after yesterday's target.
Exactly. He used the time stone to go back. He stopped the kids from destroying it, took the fucking amulet. And this Frankenstein, Tom Noonan Frankenstein, is like part of the multiverse of MDU madness.
Oh my God, him and Robert De Niro, Frankenstein, do they team up? Are they going after Raul Julia?
They have to. Yeah, the Roger Corman's Frankenstein they have to go after.
And Kenneth Branagh, obviously,
well,
it's
yeah.
2v2.
Yeah. Well, Kenneth Branagh and Raul Julia are teaming up.
They would probably lose. They wouldn't have to go against either monster. They just argue and they probably just fucking strangle each other.
I mean, they're working for Dracula.
Oh, well, that's a scary
You know?
thought. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
House of Frankenstein, exactly.
And they're building that huge fucking thing from Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman. The whole thing for the Dracula babies.
well, you know, in the movie Dunce universe, there's that Daniel Stern planet. So, of course, there's got to be like a universal monster planet where all these people converge. You know, when they're not just on Earth causing fucking chaos.
Well, Sean, it's the MDU, the multiverse of MDU madness.
And this is all happening.
And this is all happening congruently.
This is Monster Squad's a pocket dimension. John Hurt let him out for a little while.
But they're giving Rudy the monster test. So they're running him down. They're like, okay, how do you kill a vampire? He goes, stake through the heart, and garlic, and some other stuff. And he goes, all right, what's 2 ways to kill a werewolf? And he goes, silver bullet. Okay, good. What's the other way? And he's like, that's it. There's only one way to kill a werewolf. They're like, no, Rudy, nope. And he's like, okay, well, what's the other way, wise ass? And he's like, car crash, accident with power tools.
Well, you have to go back and listen to Movie Dumpster's American Werewolf in Paris review, where we actually talk about that.
Falling out a window, landing onto a bomb.
Eating a heart or some bullshit.
Or something.
Yeah, falling out of a bomb. I love that, because then when it comes back later, it's like, ooh.
When that comes to fruition at the end, it's probably one of the coolest fucking things in movie history.
It's also like me as being just that dork. If you follow this show, I know we talk about it occasionally, but when they follow the rules or the lore, it's like, you don't need to, but it's like, man, they took it like to such an extreme that I kind of love it for it. You know what I mean? When we get there.
Yeah, it is. I don't think it's ever been done again. We'll talk about
Not that way.
Yeah. So yeah, Drax got his wheels. He's in his fucking hearse.
I keep calling it a Dracula, but it's a hearse.
It's fucking
I
Dracula.
just want to call it
He
that.
rolls up and he's like, let it begin. And
Oh, yeah, where's Shao Kahn in the background, the two of them?
I think my favorite thing about this film are the characters, and I think that's why I kind of, yes, the monsters are great, but all the stuff surrounding Sean and his parents
oh, man.
is just really is really impactful, and I like the arc of that, and it does resonate in a way where he kind of buries himself in things like monster movies and magazines and stuff to kind of like, you know, tune it out.
It almost feels like him, a 12-year-old, when he doesn't even really have all the information by the time he makes this decision, is like, which we're going to talk about, is like, I have to take the whole world on my back as a 12-year-old, because he just sees his parents arguing, and he's like talks to his dad a few times throughout the film, and just is constantly getting blown off.
Well, yeah, but his dad's a cop, so
right?
So he has to go
Del.
out. Yeah, he's played by Stephen Mock, who's really excellent in this, and he is a good dad. He's not a bad dad. He just has to work a lot, but he's
super stressed.
But he's at odds with Sean's mom because he's not giving her enough attention.
You know who this woman is, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Mary Elaine Trainor.
She was in Ghostbusters 2?
She was in Ghostbusters 2, but who else is she? What else is she?
Oh, well, I was going to say, she's the mom in the beginning of Ghostbusters 2 that's like, He-Man! Yeah. He-Man! What else was she in?
She's in Goonies. She's the mom in Goonies.
Oh, was she also?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I knew that, actually.
And she's also in Scrooged.
Who the hell is she in Scrooge?
She is like one of the women that works with Bill Murray. I don't know.
Okay, was she a mom in that, too?
No.
Typecasted as a mother.
She's in it, but like, yeah.
She's good in this. She doesn't get a ton of screen time, but every time she's on, she makes it worth it.
You can't buy publicity like this when the old lady dies from watching the Scrooge commercial. So so Sean's dad's supposed to go out, go to marriage and counseling with his mom, and he wants to go see a movie, but he has to stay home and watch his sisters.
Oh, like the 10th in some slasher series.
Yeah.
I've been waiting all year to see this.
Groundhog Day.
Oh, Groundhog Day
Part
10?
16
oh
or some
God.
shit. Part 10 or something. It's great. Part 6, maybe. He's like, I thought he died in the last one. What are you talking about? He's like, he did, but he returned from the grave. And he's like, Sean, if they cut him up into little pieces, put him in a blender and send him to 50 states, he still returned from the grave.
That was part 4.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's just really fun. The script is just so good, and it feels real, and it's funny. So he gets called, and he has to go into work. So he has to cancel the marriage counseling, and he has to go in. And that's
ugly.
That's like a whole fucking thing. And he has to go in because somebody stole a fucking mummy.
That's what they think.
From the museum.
Because it sure as hell didn't just get up and walk out of there on its own.
2,000-year-old dead guys just don't get up and walk away by themselves, Sean.
Well, this one does, because then we see it walking down the street moaning. This beautiful mummy.
Stan Shaw plays Detective Shapir, who is like Gil's friend or his buddy. He's a very good cop, by the way.
Yeah, he's his partner. He's a very over-the-top character.
He's great.
He's only in like 3 scenes, but every time he's flipping out, yelling on the phone, he's puzzled constantly.
He's a real wise ass.
Yes.
Because he's talking to the guy at the museum, and he's like, so you didn't hear anything, and the mummy's gone. And you didn't hear anybody come in. He's like, no, I would have heard them take him. He's like, damn. He's like, did you take the mummy? No, of course not. He's like, God damn. Oh, I'm all out of ideas here. The mummy's just gone. And then we cut to the police station, and we get to see John Grise for the first time. Now, John Grise, MDU alumni. He's OD in TerrorVision. One of my favorite
Uncle Rico in
movies.
Napoleon
One of my favorite characters. He also plays a werewolf in Fright Night Part 2.
Oh, okay.
Not as good as this one, but yeah. And he's really excellent in this film. And he's like he's being like a raving lunatic in the police station because he's ranting and raving and he wants them to lock him up. And they won't do it. So he ends up, so the moon comes out and he ends up like getting really strong and like throwing people around. He fucking takes this one dude's gun and like shoots it up into the ceiling. He's like, lock me up.
They just shoot him to death.
This fucking rookie comes in and just wastes him.
Well, that guy comes back later and he gets fucking taken out because he does the same damn thing to someone else.
So they pack him up in the coroner van. It's a really great scene.
Oh, it is. It's just stupid on their part.
So he's dead, but he turns into the Wolfman and then revives and kills this fucking guy driving the van.
We get a couple transformations in this film, like or scenes. They're kind of like very small ones, kind of strewn together in different parts. Like this one, you get a little bit of the hand. You see it kind of under the cloth a little bit. I like it.
And you do see full Wolfman in this scene, even in this scene. For like a second.
Yeah, I guess I meant you see a fuller transformation later.
Yeah. And I know it sounds kind of crazy and we keep jumping all over the place, but like this movie's fucking packed, dude. Like, it is just like, let's go.
Trying to stay somewhat in order. Yeah.
I just want to mention one more thing about Sean and his dad, because Sean ends up sitting on his roof and watching the drive-in movie with binoculars. And I just love it so much. And his dad comes home late and he's got like a bag of Burger King for them. And he like gives them fries and stuff. And he's like, what'd I miss? And he's like eating French fries with him and he's telling them all about it. It's a really sweet scene that I like a lot. It's cool. It shows him like he's a good dad. And he does want to be there and spend time with his son, but he's not always there.
And then this is where we're going to come from this kind of touching moment, father and son, to now the official joining of other Monster Squad. All the monsters coming together at this swamp, and Dracula with this cane, which I forgot. But you know, because I haven't seen it in a couple of years. But he pulls the cane up, and he's like, "Oh, there's his force cane lifting the Frankenstein crate out of the lagoon." And it's like, "Oh, nope, Gilman's under there."
Yeah, baby. Well, he can control them all with the cane.
Yeah. I just forgot for a minute because it's been a year or two since I've seen it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I just forget about his ass under there. He's lifting it. It's not Yoda."
It's so good, but that's such a good reveal.
I like that. Yeah.
When the Gilman comes up and throws, and it shows
they want you to think he's doing it telepathically.
No, sure, but like it shows you how strong the Gilman is. He's like lifting Frankenstein over his fucking head and like throws it onto the bank of the swamp.
I do wish they did more with that, but it's not really even a complaint because there's so much that happens in this movie.
I think every monster gets its time to shine and like really good sections of their stuff. So Tom Noonan is Frankenstein and Dracula revives him.
Oh yeah, now with the lightning rod, yeah.
And he's calling him master and stuff like that. Yeah. So I guess somewhere along the way he became in possession of Frankenstein's monster and like controls him.
Yeah, it's that thing again, like Castlevania kind of took this idea and ran with it. But there's just Dracula's that all-powerful vampire in so many stories that of course he'd be the one that would just take these things under his fucking...
Well, he's the main vampire. He's like...
No pun intended, but wing.
Yeah, well, he's the creature of the night, dude, and he kind of commands the rest of them. Either way, he'll fuck them up if they step out of line, kind of thing. But they're also like helping him.
Yeah, but also like vampires in general. Let's just take Dracula out of the equation. It's just like it's the smartest creature out of the group. The mummy's a hobbling zombie, basically.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, like, it's not like Boris Karloff mummy.
That's what I mean by that.
It's just a mummy.
It's not even Arnold Vosloo.
No, fuck no.
I mean, that's not what we want. I'm just saying.
No. But like, he's not doing magic or anything like that. He's just a shambling, scary skeleton man wrapped in bandages.
Dracula's the only one of the monsters that has any speaking lines. Besides, Frankenstein has a couple
Frankenstein's got a decent amount of speaking time.
But I mean, like, generally speaking, it's just Wolfman's howling, Mummy doesn't say shit, Gilman can't fucking talk.
He doesn't talk.
Yeah.
He's a fish.
Hey, we had to go underwater to hear his dialogue. We never quite get there.
So Mom and Dad are fighting again, and Sean comes downstairs and because he hears them fighting, and he sees that there's a message on the wall.
Yeah, by the phone,
and it says somebody named Mr. Alucard called inquiring about Van Helsing's journal. And he's like, what is that? And the whole time his parents are fighting and his dad's talking about, he's like, somebody stole a fucking mummy and some guy was torn to shreds talking about him being a werewolf and blah, 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 blah.
Right, trying to justify the shit he's going through, which isn't the point. That's not what his wife's angry about. It's like, you're just not here. I understand your job's stressful. You're a fucking cop.
I know.
But, like, you're not even trying to keep this marriage successful. You're just running away is how she sees it.
Yeah. So Sean's trying to, like, he writes down Alucard and he starts, like, trying to figure out, like, it's like an anagram, kind of.
We've all been there. We all had this moment as kids.
And he's like, how about that? And then he eventually writes out Dracula.
Alucard is Dracula backwards.
It's the goblins. This is their kingdom. Nilbog.
Nilbog. I mean, as a kid, that shit you did legitimately,
for sure.
like, at a young age, figure out. Now it seems silly, but go back in your memories, folks. We were all there once.
Especially if you're, like, in the monsters and you're like, oh, that sounds awful familiar.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'll say Castlevania. They have a fucking character called Alucard. Even the Japanese were like, we're fucking doing it.
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, of course it is. This is the only other house that we go into. We only go into Sean's house and Eugene's house.
Eugene, yeah.
And Eugene is, like, pretty young. He's almost as young as Phoebe is. So it's weird that he's, like, hanging out with them because he's not necessarily the little brother of anybody.
It's like a Little Rascal situation where there's a few bit of kids hanging out there's an age gap between the kids.
Fred Dekker does mention that in some of his interviews where he wanted to do, like, a Little Rascals meet the Universal monsters in the vein of, like, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
I think he kind of nails it,
which
if
is
that's
what
he's
it
going
is.
for.
Yeah. So we get to see his house and
his dad.
He wakes up his dad and he's like there's monsters in my room, and he goes and he's like, okay, all you monsters, get out of here. You want to bed, get out of here. That's it. Okay, now go to bed. And he's like, there's one more in the closet. And he's like, whoa, scary monster. And he opens the door and fucking Mummy's just, like, in there, all fucked up. Anyway, it's just fun. I don't know why the fuck he's in Eugene's closet, but he, like, climbs out the window.
You want to know why? Because they have Eugene say this line about 10 times in the movie. Mummy came in my house.
Mummy came in my house.
Because he says it to them at the next meeting, and they all just kind of look at him like, they don't even acknowledge it. They're just like, okay.
Well,
next topic.
So there was a deleted scene here where right after the mummy leaves, the boys, like Horace, Sean, and Pat, come up to his window and they're like, Eugene, come on.
Like they just missed
we got an emergency meeting, so they, like, just missed the mummy.
Okay.
And that's how they get to because we cut right to the treehouse.
You just kind of have to, like, do that mental gymnastic kind of situation in your head, like, oh yeah, it's the next day or whatever.
Like it's fine with me. I think it's a
mind
great scene. They go back to the clubhouse and Sean's basically like, look, there was a guy, a mummy got away, or somebody stole a mummy from a museum, and there was a guy ranting that he was a werewolf, and they shot him to death. And then the coroner was dead.
Also, just because it's just a hilarious situation, both meetings now that Rudy's attended, he's not even paying attention. He's at the camera in the window taking pictures of Pat's fucking sister who's changing.
I'm beginning to like this club.
Yeah, they're like, are you even paying attention?
That girl's your sister?
Yeah, Pat, he's got a weird sister-brother relationship, 80s. Again, we've talked about it many times.
He's not a
jumping
creepazoid.
in on her, but he's asking her if she's a virgin. He doesn't mind if guys are taking pictures of her in her window.
I don't think he realizes that he's taking pictures of it, and they need a virgin to open the fucking portal to limbo.
We'll talk about that.
They got to blow a hole in Dumbo.
You're right. Patrick doesn't realize what's actually happening. I don't think that's the joke, right? Yeah.
I mean, Sean is definitely peeping on Pat's sister.
But he is,
but not telling him. You know.
I mean, Rudy is.
Well, Rudy definitely is. Sean's basically like, there's a Wolfman, there's a mummy. I think Dracula might be here too. Look, there's real monsters, and we got to do something about it. And he's like, Sean, we're fucking 12. What are we gonna do?
Horace, the voice of reason.
Yeah. And they're basically they gotta make a plan. They gotta do something, right?
I love how they all put their hands together, and even the beagle puts its fucking paw
God.
on him.
So Drac has Frank in like a dungeon underneath.
This is Lestat's mansion.
666 Shadowbrook Road.
I don't know.
Which is where we missed this part. We skipped over this part, but where Sean's mom was at a garage sale and got Van Helsing's diary.
Oh, I totally missed that. I was confused about that.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry we missed that.
That's why he's like, oh, where's the book? Okay.
Yeah. Sean's mom picked that up for him.
I've seen
like,
this movie
some
so
guy
many
Van Helsing. He's like, who? What is that? Is that like Godzilla or something? And he's like, no, Godzilla's the big one. You know, Van Helsing's the other guy.
All right, that makes way more sense. How did I miss that detail?
And he's like, holy shit, Van Helsing's diary? And it's all in German, of course, and that's the joke.
Right, but then you're right. We go to Frankenstein in the fucking basement, locked up. And he's like, yeah, Frankenstein. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. By the way, these kids have the fucking diary. Go take it from them, and if they resist, just kill them.
If they give you a problem, just kill them.
And Frankenstein's like,
Yes, master.
Yeah, yes, master, not. I might have a problem with that.
Frankenstein's questioning his morals.
Keeps that one to himself.
Yeah. This might be a reason why people call Frankenstein.
Oh, it 100% is. It's kind of like Return of the Living Dead with the brains thing.
Yeah, because like the kids know isn't Frankenstein the name of the monster or the guy, and Rudy goes, the guy.
Which is almost a meme now. I feel like people like to fuck with people online when they say that now, but it's like, we all know what we're talking about.
But like growing up, I called Frankenstein.
Yeah,
like
same.
The monster, I called him Frankenstein.
Did.
Yeah, we all.
Most people do.
Yeah. So they're like, who the fuck is going to read this diary? I got 3 words for you, Sean. Scary German guy.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So I love how they go to his house and they're trying to figure out what they're going to say before they go in there. And they're arguing, no, you go in. Oh, no, you go in. You're our leader. And then the guy just walks up behind him.
Please don't kill us.
Yeah, well, right. They have like kind of a fake out.
Yeah.
Because then, like, there's another scene in between this, but then when we cut back to them, he's got a fucking knife. He's like, who wants more pie?
He's like, boys, time is almost up.
Yeah.
Your last chance for pie. And he, like, gives him Pepsi and pie and shit. And he's like, Horace takes another slice.
Yeah.
Scary German guy's bitching, dude.
He's bitching, and he's translating it for him, and he's kind of reading the journal out loud to them.
And he tells them the whole lore of the amulet and how it can stop the forces of evil, and at this once every 100 years at midnight, it becomes vulnerable, where the forces of darkness want to destroy it, and the forces of good need to stop them by opening a hole into limbo.
Right, because it's basically like the ultimate good, the embodiment of good. This amulet,
it's pure good. And it turns out that exactly 100 years to the day is tomorrow. So they only have 1 day to prepare to kill all of these monsters before they rule the world in darkness.
And also, like, we know that Dracula knows where this thing is. It's in, like, a broken down wall inside the fucking basement of this, like, mansion that he's hiding in.
Well,
surrounded by crosses.
And garlic and all kinds of shit, which is really cool.
Which I guess he could just have Wolfman jump in there and get it if he really wanted him to.
I don't know why he didn't have Wolfman do that. Oh, well, we'll talk about that in a second. But right before they leave the Scary German guy's place.
Oh, yeah.
This is so good. This is another one of those great character scenes because Horace is like, wow, you sure know a lot about monsters. He's like, oh, did you boys think I was a vampire? Look, I have a reflection and blah, blah, blah. I love
that detail. They had to put that in.
He's like, you sure know a lot about monsters. And he goes, I suppose I do. And the kids walk away. He closes the fucking door and you see his concentration camp number on his arm. Oh, yeah. And he's like, fuck.
Cinematography in this movie's great.
It's just such a great storytelling, visual storytelling thing.
And you think on your first viewing, like, he's out of the movie, but he becomes like a major, he is basically Van Helsing in this movie.
Essentially,
the German version.
They need him to read the fucking thing and translate it for the Virgin.
And he's
like, nobody speaks German.
He also has kind of this character quirk, being a survivor of the Nazis, where he's kind of like into the B-17s and like the American like tanks and shit that saved him. He's got like the fucking like army Jeep or whatever. I mean, I don't know the names of a lot of these vehicles.
I think he's got like a Willys Jeep, but he has like a plane
model.
Yeah, and he's like, that is a B-52 or B-12, whatever, the B-17, I think it is.
Rock Lobster,
yeah. We do get a scene in between here where it's like an homage to like the original Frankenstein.
The Maria scene where
he throws a little girl in the water, and you think that's going to happen to Phoebe.
Yeah.
But she ends up befriending Frankenstein, and she's like, "Hey guys, come on, check this out!
Stop being chicken shit and stop hiding!"
They bring out Frankenstein's monster, and they all run away and try to hide. He's like, "Don't be such chicken shit."
Meanwhile, like set to like some Harry and the Hendersons, they ask music like, doo doo doo.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny that you said Harry and the Hendersons?
I was gonna say same composer?
Same guy, same composer did Harry and the Hendersons.
I mean, it's not a 1-to-1, but you could feel the vibes from that.
He's like, come on, guys, check him out. He's great. And he like hits him, and then Frankenstein like pushes him down.
Oh yeah, but like I was saying, Frankenstein had no intent to ever hurt these kids.
No,
like he's even got the fucking like journal in his hand. Frankenstein's like, yeah, they want that.
Master wants that, but I'm gonna hang out in a treehouse and put costumes on or something.
They push him up there or something.
I taught him how to talk, and he's like, bogus.
He keeps saying that. Give me a break.
A break.
All the commercials, obviously.
It's great, dude. So they're all talking about like what to do with them and stuff, and like he's like we got this dead guy up in our tree, and Frankenstein like leans over and like looks through the camera and like sees Pat's sister undressing and like accidentally clicks the camera and it's like chick 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 chick, and he's like bogus.
And then he grabs like the Frankenstein mask and he like kind of looks at it.
It's
and
a good character scene.
Yeah, it like scares him.
He's like scary. He's like touching his face and shit.
Yeah. Like, it also kind of shows that this version of Frankenstein is, which now to this day has kind of become a bit of a stereotype.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't see it as much in 2024, but like, I remember in the 90s that like, anytime you saw a cartoon Frankenstein, they'd always kind of play with this idea that he was scary, but, oh, he's actually like a kind
nice
of a
guy.
nice like, kind of guy. Yeah, exactly.
Misunderstood monster.
Which I guess the second one, or I should say Bride of Frankenstein, kind of plays with that idea, and then it obviously shit hits the fan when the guy with the violin gets taken out. But yeah, that kind of idea must also be pulled from this. Like you said, people calling it just Frankenstein. They saw this movie, maybe it was in the zeitgeist at the time, and then it just kind of called Frankenstein.
I would say that I mean, this might be the first version of this Frankenstein.
That's I guess where I was.
Is
going
that what
with
you're
that.
saying?
Yeah,
because I don't think it's ever been portrayed like this prior to this, and I kind of like how it's this kind of like anti-hero kind of deal that teams up with these kids because I don't know, it's sweet
fun.
and it kind of makes sense that you're gonna need a monster later to fight the other monsters.
You need at least one, and out of that group, which one's gonna fucking go with them?
Yeah, definitely not the Wolfman.
Hell no, unless they got some biscuits, they got some dog treats.
They give him milk bone,
Yeah,
cute little pooch.
Oh my god, like Lewis Tully.
Yeah,
good lord.
That didn't work out well for him, did it?
No, but I do kind of like how they're like walking with Frankenstein, kind of like a Stand By Me shot.
Yeah, it's cute, and they're like, it reminds me of like E.T.
a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know why that
a tall E.T.
scene reminds me of that, but yeah, Into the Sunset. So yeah, like you were saying before, Drac finds a fucking hole in the wall. He's like, it's here somewhere, and he's got his little lantern underneath the house, and he fucking hits it with a hammer and like sees the amulet.
He's got Wolfman with him with the fucking lantern.
with him, yeah. And he's like, I finally found it, and no one will stop us! Cuts right to the fucking montage, because it's like, who's going to stop us? Oh, these 12-year-old kids.
Oh, yeah, with the music.
And then Rocket Till You Drop kicks up,
right.
and then it's the big montage of, like, Rudy's making steaks in wood shop and making silver bullets in fucking metal shop.
Right, because right before that, too, maybe we skipped it, but they go to Rudy and like, you know any virgins? Because it's after they talk to Scary German guy.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
he spits the coke all over the place.
Rudy does like two or three spit takes in this
spit
movie.
Takes,
Yeah.
and they're like, Rudy, you're in charge of the silver bullets.
Funny every time too.
Which is then you see him in the wood shop sharpening the steaks.
He's got the steaks.
Steals the fucking silverware. He's melting it
from
down.
Sean's mom.
Sean's mom,
and he's making silver bullets.
Patrick, just the biggest waste of time ever. I guess they needed that final scene in the movie, but he's like,
he's making cards.
He's making cards. I think you guys got more important shit to do than making the goddamn business cards, but okay.
Eugene writes a letter to the army.
I always forget how relevant that is.
It's so funny that like that's such a good callback joke because he's like writing it in crayon.
Monsters
and it's like,
are coming.
Dear army guys, monsters are coming.
Also, there's this funny, kind of fucked up at the same time scene in retrospect. I always thought it was funny till I really started thinking about it.
Yeah.
Rudy gets the fucking photos developed.
Oh, yeah.
And he realizes he's got the topless shot.
That's the other spit take.
Well, yeah.
And then Frankenstein's
looking at it, and
all
the kids are trying to grab it from him. And I'm just sitting there thinking, this poor girl, this topless photo she didn't agree to, which then they hold against her later.
Well, they gotta fucking get her to cooperate somehow.
Well, the world's at stake, I know.
I think she's of age, Sean. It's okay.
It's just kind of funny to me. The whole situation, I don't know. It's fucked up, but it's played for humor, and I'm not really upset about
Fox
it.
Photos got a 2-for-1 deal this week.
He did.
Yeah. Drax feeding John Grise pills, and he's like, any other dose would kill a noble human, but you're not a noble human, are you, my friend? Sorry about that. Why don't you slip into something more comfortable while I go have a bite?
Right, yeah.
And then he's got this closet full of schoolgirls that he eats and turns them into his brides. It's fucking great.
I just imagine, does he have that same conversation with Wolfman like every night? Like, it's like, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm tied to this fucking chair again. Oh, you're drugging me again. Okay.
He's a little lonely,
Yeah.
Well, it's like he's only friends with Wolfman. He's not friends with John
That's
Grise.
what I mean. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Because how many wolf stories or werewolf stories? I mean, this is more kind of Wolfman.
Yeah. He's not cognitive when he's the wolf.
Right. He's not inherently evil.
Right, and that's why I was saying that it's a tragic character.
Yeah, I like that, because then right after he goes to feed on those 3 women, Wolfman, I guess, he learned something from Mark or Houdini from Salem's Lot. He knew how to get out of those fucking rope bindings.
He spits out all the pills. He didn't end up taking them, and he gets out. And he makes his way to a fucking phone booth.
Yes.
And this is great too because Sean's dad is at the precinct, and John Grice ends up calling his dad. And he's like, oh, there's no time,
which is a pretty crazy call to receive, especially as a cop.
It's great because he starts turning into the Wolfman
in the phone booth.
This
transformation's great.
He's gonna kill your son. This always freaked me out as a kid. The way that this is lit and how the Wolfman turns in this scene.
The white hair for a moment.
Yeah, but he's like Sean's dad is listening to this fucking guy turn into a werewolf on the phone. And he howls after that, breaks the fucking thing open, runs away. Yeah,
the phone booth.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then Dad's like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah,
and he gets his partners like, "We need to get back to the house
ASAP."
And this is where we have that Winston Zeddemore scene I was joking about earlier, where he's driving down the fucking road and Dracula's car goes through him, and it's like a ghost, and just kind of like,
I'm not gonna say a word, not a single word.
Turn around, follow it.
And then they hightail it back to his house.
But in the meantime, the Monster Squad has kind of started to enact their plan.
Yeah, so they kind of regroup at 666 Shadowbrook Road, but they're also by the swamp.
Yeah, they split into 2.
Yeah, they split into 2 groups. So Rudy and Pat are back at the treehouse, coercing his sister, or about to ask her if she's a virgin or not because she took German in high school.
They make Pat ask his own sister. Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, it's your rodeo coach," and he's like, are you a virgin?"
It's your show, Ace.
Yeah, and that's kind of gross thing, but I guess Pat, you gotta ask, right?
Oh, it's fucking great. And Rudy's like, "What your brother's so eloquently trying to put, and of my own personal interest, have you or have you not at some point in time been dorked?"
She gets all pissed, but I guess
you guys are sick.
The answer is no, I have not, because they're at that burger joint later, kind of waiting to hear from Sean.
Well, that's when he whips out the photo, and he's like, Fox Photo's got a 2-for-1, and there's a spot right on the bulletin board for this. She's like, "You wouldn't," and he's like, "You're gonna have to do this for us. You're gonna have to read this fucking German incantation." Turns out she can't speak fucking German, and she's also not a virgin. Spoiler.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the funny payoff.
Steve, but he doesn't count. Doesn't count.
At the crucial fucking moment. But I do love how we go to that swamp, and while Sean and Horace are really trying to formulate what the fuck the plan is, Eugene's just hanging out by the edge of the lake with his Twinkie.
Yeah.
This is my favorite line in the movie. He drops it in there, and he's like, comes back to
Thanks
Sean.
a lot, Pete.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fucking creature comes out, and he's like, "Oh!" Almost shits a brick, this fucking kid.
Yeah.
Walks back over to Sean, and he's tugging on his jacket. He's like, "What do you want, Eugene?" He's like, "Creature stole my Twinkie."
Yeah, creature stole my Twinkie. I love that. Because he's trying to get in contact with the other group on the walkies. So they're casing the house out, and they're like, "Okay, so we're gonna go in." And Frankenstein keeps chiming in, and Sean's like, "Come on, can it, Frank?"
Yeah, can it, Frank? Yeah. Meanwhile, Dracula's about to blow a fucking hole in the wall with the amulet with this giant piece of dynamite.
Right. How he accrued that, I don't know.
He's Dracula.
He brings a doubloon to the store. Some dynamite, please.
Here you go, my good man. He's not paying for shit.
Nah. He's charming people
he's just
for
taking it. But the kids go into the house, and they're being really cautious, and they're like, "Come on, Frank, come on in."
Horace, all right, nobody's here. Let's leave.
Well, no amulet. Let's get out of here. But Frank comes in and steps on the floor, and I guess the sound makes the plunger go down on the fucking dynamite thing, and it explodes and rocks the house, and it caves in and demolishes Frank, falls on top of him.
Right, takes him out of the film for the foreseeable future.
There's a fucking cave in. They're trying to wake him up. All of a sudden, Wolfman jumps out of nowhere.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, and he's like, "Kick him in the nards!" And he's like, "What? Kick him in the nards? Wolfmans don't got nards!"
Well, apparently they do.
Kicks that motherfucker right in his ball sack, dude.
Wolfman's got nards!
Wolfman's got nards!
And they start running. Wolfman's kind of stunned for a minute as they get out of there.
That's a good tactic. So if you ever run into a werewolf, kick him right in the nards. You should be fine.
If you got steel-toed boots, I'd at least try it. Otherwise, I ain't fucking running for my life.
Man, and this is such a creepy scene, and I love it, because they run down this hallway, and they stop at this intersection. And to the left are the brides of Dracula coming down the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
They turn around. oh fuck, Dracula is coming this way towards us. Whoop, they turn around again. Now Wolfman's coming back. And it's just this cool shot of them, like, each hallway, like the camera swinging around to each monster. And Sean starts feeling around on this statue, and he's like, haven't you ever seen the Hardy Boys? There's got to be a secret passage in this fucking place.
Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. They have a joke like that in there with Costello, I think.
He pulls the arm, and they fall right through the chute into the, I don't know, the pit, the dungeon where Drac was, and we saw where Frank was being kept. And they come upon the amulet room.
Yep.
And he's like, there it is, man. And it's such a cool room because it's like got these like glowing like laser lights, green laser lights, and there's like crucifixes and garlic and all this shit all over it to like keep Dracula away from
the
him.
lights like bouncing off the amulet. It constantly is changing color throughout the film.
It's really cool. So Sean goes in to grab it, and he's like, check it out, I got it. Fucking Dracula grabs him by the throat. He's like, give me the amulet.
That's what he's been waiting for.
Yeah.
Someone to go in there and get it for him.
It's so good because Horace pulls out like a piece of pizza.
His emergency snack in the aluminum foil. Oh my God. Because, of course, the fat kid's got an extra snack.
Well, it's good he had that pizza, man, because there was garlic on it.
That
and
is
he
fucking
burns
hilarious.
the shit out of Dracula's face. It's great.
I wanted some pizza after that.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that looks so good.
It reminded me of, when Chunks got the fucking pizza on the bowling alley window when the Fratellis are driving by.
Well, it doesn't burn flesh, but
No.
yes, that's true.
Unless you're Dracula.
Yeah. And then they book it the fuck out of there.
Imagine Chunk hitting like Mama Fratelli with a piece of pizza that was in his pocket.
Starts melting like body.
So Phoebe goes to Scary German Guy's house of her own accord in the middle of the night and like recruits him because they run out of the house, and he pulls up in his Jeep, and they all kind of meet up again. And now Rudy's there with Pat and his sister, and they all jump into the Jeep.
Right, this is when the mummy makes its reappearance.
So they're driving, and they almost hit the mummy, and they swerve, and the mummy like grabs onto the back of the Jeep, and it's great because he's like reaching after Phoebe and stuff.
Oh, the dog even bites part of the wrappings.
Yeah, and he's like, give me some slack. Rudy's like, give me some slack, and he ties the fucking bandage to a arrow and shoots it into a tree, and he just starts like unraveling.
I know it was written this way, but if they didn't have fucking Rudy, they would have been dead.
Well, it's kind of fun. Like
he's a great character.
He's so awesome.
Yeah.
He's just so fucking cool.
He's written to be the cool guy,
yeah.
which is I kind of like that about it.
See you later, Band-Aid breath.
Yeah, it just turns into literally dust.
It's great. And the skull is like rolling on the fucking ground. Fucking Dracula goes to Sean's house.
Uses the rest of that dynamite.
Lights a stick of dynamite, throws it through the window of the treehouse.
Stick.
Meeting adjourned. Fucking thing explodes into splinters.
This is like some of the Punisher C4s. This is such a big explosion.
Yeah, I mean, dynamite will make your butt pucker,
yeah.
man, my man.
Not kidding. Mom's inside. She turns on the whole fucking house just shook.
She's like, what is going on?
Dad pulls up. This is like something at a Lethal Weapon. He gets out of the patrol car. The other guy doesn't have time to get out, and Dracula just lobs his fucking dynamite under the car.
And he just explodes, kills his partner.
You can see his body burning.
Oh, yeah.
Good effect.
And Dad is like shooting Dracula, and nothing's happening. I will have your son. And then he turns into a fucking bat and Mom like comes out just to see it happen, and it just flies away.
And I'm pretty sure that's a homage to the original 31 Dracula, because they have almost an exact same shot with like kind of the animation. You can only kind of see it,
and it's like it's
cool.
It's like a shadow. And
yes,
they do it.
They
do it in Blacula too. Remember?
Oh yeah.
it's
I mean,
cool.
that's one that I feel like people are going to go back to. It's so iconic from the Bela Lugosi version.
It's awesome. So they go to the center of town, and because they want to go to a church.
Yeah,
and that's like holy ground, so they need to get there.
Pretty smart.
And yeah, it's locked. And Rudy's kicking it. He's like, don't kick the church. It's religious.
Right. I'll be taking a fucking hammer to that. I'll be picking up the waste baskets on the side of the street. I'm getting in the fucking breaking the goddamn stained glass. I'm getting in.
Dude. Well, I don't think Wolfman would be able to get into a church. Dracula's the only one who can't.
Right, yeah.
I think. But the brides of Dracula start walking down the street. And I love the way like this whole street is lit.
Yeah.
It's very I can't put my finger on it. But it's so good. I love the lighting in this movie. And Rudy sees him coming, and he's like, where you going, man? And he's like, I'm in the goddamn club, aren't I? And he takes out his bow and arrow, and he shoots a stake into this chick, and she dies.
Call back to the intro with
It's
Van
so
Helsing.
good.
He goes to do it again, but there's like
it's like stuck.
Well, it's stuck, and then she's like closing in on him, so he just stabs her right through the chest.
Gets her good, man.
Did they show the third one get killed?
No.
Right.
Actually, I don't remember.
Maybe that's a cut scene.
I don't think so.
There's a lot happening. You can't show everything. Maybe she gets sucked in the fucking vortex.
So by this time, Dracula's almost to the church in his bat form.
Yeah, he's flying.
And Dad comes rolling up, And he's driving by, and he's got a hell of a fucking dead eye, dude.
This time it works.
Dude, he shoots the bat form of Dracula, and it goes like flying into a warehouse.
That gets my brain fucking starting to spin. I'm like, all right, when he's in human form, you could shoot him. It does nothing. But when he's in bat form, apparently, if you could get him, it's going to almost kill him.
I kind of like that, though.
I mean, I love what we see after that when he chases up to the top of the building and finds him half bat, half human. Like, holy shit,
dude,
that effect is
when
cool.
he comes in and sees him and his like wing opens and he's all gross and shit and he's like half transformed, it's so awesome.
I'm trying to like forgive some like some nerd bullshit when it's like for a cool scene, kind of thing.
I think it works.
What is that? The rule of cool kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it works.
Yeah,
it totally works for me.
Especially the Wolfman comes up behind him. Wolfman's getting in the shit constantly in this film.
Well, Sean's dad's about to light a stick of dynamite and blow up Dracula, and he's like, "Suck on this, you son of a bitch!" Fucking Wolfman comes in,
taste of his own medicine,
beats the shit out of him. He ends up like dropping the dynamite. And Drac disappears, but Sean ends up going to help his dad. He's like, "Hey, asshole!" And he hits him in the face. He hits Wolfman in the face with a fucking baseball bat. And then Sean's dad like sticks the dynamite in his pants and pushes him out the window, and he fucking explodes.
Explodes. And like we alluded to earlier, unfortunately, that is not one of the ways to kill a werewolf.
Dude, this scene is just so good. I don't think it's ever been done again like this, and I just love it so much because...
I mean, Project Metalbeast, they blew him up, but... maybe he's not dead.
Not like this though.
No.
Like Wolfman explodes into numerous pieces.
They show him explode. There's no. They don't try to hide it.
No. He like explodes in midair, and all the pieces fall, and you see like the feet and the fingers wriggling and stuff, and it all gets sucked back up, and he turns back into the Wolfman. It's great. It's just so good.
It's perfect.
Meanwhile, Rudy is like in shock from killing these brides of Dracula. The cops roll up.
Finally.
And fucking Wolfman comes out of the alley and they're like, "Hey kid, watch out, there's a monster behind you." So he like, he like gets out of the way and they're like shooting the Wolfman and and he's just fucking murking dudes left and right.
Yeah, nothing's working. And then like Rudy grabs like the revolver from one of the knocked out or possibly dead cops.
And like dumping out all the bullets. And he's got one silver bullet, man.
Hey, that's all he needs. Shoots him right in the chest, and this guy transforms back into a human.
I just love this part with John Grise, and he just like sits up and he's like dying, and he's like, "Thank you." It's so good. It's such a great scene.
I do wonder how old John Grise is. Like, not that you need that lore, but it's like, is this the same Wolfman Dracula's revealed 100 years ago, or is it like every once in a while he's got to get a new one because they actually do get older?
I don't know. I never really thought
about that. You
about
don't need answers like
that.
that.
No, but I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
I guess who's ever in the proximity.
Yeah, the movie, again, like that's not what they're going for. I don't want to keep saying that, but I love how they take him out.
Yeah.
And then Gillman returns. We gotta fire these monsters off so we can get rid of them.
Dude, like no later than the Wolfman dies, the fucking Gillman punches the sewer grate off and comes out, which is so awesome. He fucking kills the shit out of some cops. He like breaks the dude's fucking neck and his head. It's funny because Tom Woodruff was in the suit, like I mentioned earlier. He couldn't fucking see. So when they were choreographing the scene, they were counting, and the stunt guys were like counting as he was doing his moves
to get the right timing.
Yeah,
wow! Oh my god!
So he kills all the cops, and Horace picks up the shotgun, and EJ's in the candy shop, and he's like, "Let me in, EJ!"
Yeah, they won't let him in.
Yeah. Gilman's up on him, and fucking Horace grows his set of balls, goes through puberty all in one shot, and shoots the Gilman right in his chest. Blows him away.
That's all it takes is a fucking shotgun. I guess that would do it, right? And then I love how they're finally like, "Oh, fat kid, thanks for saving us." And he's like,
"Hey, fat kid, good job.
My name is Horace."
Pumps the shotgun.
That's my favorite part of the whole movie. That and the Twinkie line.
That's why I made this shirt.
It's perfect.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
That's also another layered meaning with the reference to the shirt he wears in the beginning.
Yeah.
The Stephen
King rules.
Yeah.
We also have a Joe Buchanan rules shirt.
On the website.
By the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you can get your Goro has nards. My name is Horace, and Joe Buchanan.
Yeah, how could we forget we were talking about him earlier?
Yeah. I thought for sure you were gonna wear the Joe
I wanted
Buchanan.
to do Goro. I wanted to do Goro, but I mixed it up
funny.
with the Halloween shirt for Trick or Trash.
So yeah, like we said, Pat's sister isn't a virgin. And
I still don't understand why it's got to be a woman. Like, could they have added just one line of dialogue for that? Why can't Pat? Are you telling me Pat, Sean, Horace, Rudy they've all fucked? You're telling me that?
No, it has to be a girl.
They never say that. They never say that.
Well, in
ever.
the beginning, it's a girl.
It's all implied. I just think it's a weird oversight. It doesn't really matter. I'm nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking.
I mean, again, I think they do it in visual storytelling, so it's fine with me.
It is fine. I like that the little girl ends up doing.
So it ends up Phoebe can do it.
Yeah.
You see a version? Yeah.
We're doing this show. You know me. I have to at least say it. Someone's gonna yell at me for doing this shit. I can't help it.
You don't have to say it.
I have to, because I was thinking it, and I complained about it already before I got here. So now you had to hear it. Now they had to hear it.
You take your homophobic versions and get out of here.
Yeah, Fred Dekker. No, I love the little girl doing it at the end. I had that thought. I'm like, what about the rest of it? They just said virgin. The old man, obviously, he can't do it. Rudy, maybe. There's a chance.
So
Eugene hasn't fucked anybody, is what I'm saying.
So I don't think any of them. Anyway, so yeah, scary German guy takes Phoebe and he's like, "I'll help her.
I'll coach her." Yeah,
and he reads. He's saying the thing and she's repeating him. So while that's happening, Dracula shows up.
Oh God, talk about fucking up the cops. If you thought Gillman and Wolfman did some damage.
I gotta tell you, man, Duncan is just so fucking badass. He is just walking down the street, laser focused
on that amulet.
And these cops are coming up and he's just breaking motherfuckers' arms and he's twisting people's necks. He's just killing everybody that tries to take him out.
He grabs his first the German guy goes after him. He just like force pushes him out of the way.
Well, he like shoots him with some kind of magic.
Oh yeah.
And he falls away. And then he picks up Phoebe by the fucking face.
By the chin?
Yeah. And, by that time, Gil is there and Sean's mom, and they're screaming at her. And he's like, "Gimme the amulet, you bitch." And he fucking does the fangs to her, and she's screaming.
Like this fucking 5-year-old getting screaming, "You bitch." I'm like, that is fucking funny. I'm sorry.
Dude, it's scary as hell, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, man.
Frankenstein does not like that kind of language, though.
Because he whaps him on the shoulder and he turns around and he's like, bogus. And he like punches Dracula, who I guess is still not holding Phoebe.
No,
because he puts her down. Yeah,
he does. And then he flies in the air and he lands like, this doesn't kill him for whatever reason, but he gets like impaled on like a fence.
It doesn't go through his heart. He gets impaled on the fence of the church.
Oh, okay. But then Frankenstein's like, murder!
Thank you, Frankenstein, for helping me.
Yeah.
Frankenstein and me. Oh, yeah. Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Sorry.
No thumbs up yet, my man.
Frankenstein doesn't know about that one. Van Helsing does, though. He met Arnold on the other side.
So as Drac gets punched into the fence, Scary German Guy and Phoebe are able to finish the incantation, and Scary German Guy throws the gem, the amulet, and opens up limbo in the middle of town square. And everything starts getting sucked in. And this is such a crazy scene because there's like cops and cars and all kinds of shit. It's like Army of Darkness, right? Like when everything gets sucked up.
There's got to be, people have probably made lists like this, like movies that end with something getting sucked into something like aliens.
Yeah.
There's got to be a list. Evil Dead, definitely, that comes to mind, the second one, right?
So Sean's getting pulled away and Dracula like grabs him as he's getting pulled in. So like Sean and Dracula are going towards limbo. And they're struggling and shit. And it's just so cool that the leader of the Monster Squad gets to fucking duke it out with Drac just for a little bit. Because he's like weakened too.
You want that, though.
It's cool.
Like I was watching Fright Night again, and the way that's kind of paced towards the end of the film, because Peter and Charlie, by the end of that film, are both kind of equal as a... Charlie is your main antagonist or protagonist, but they're both super important to the defeat of the monster. And I love how, to your point, the main character is the one to finally finish things because he takes that stake and just pierces Dracula in the heart just to kind of weaken him enough to let go of him.
And then Van Helsing comes out of limbo and grabs Dracula around the neck and he's holding him with this fucking stake. And he looks at Sean and just gives him a thumbs up, and Sean like gives him a thumbs up back. It's just so great, man.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, all the evil has to get sucked up. And even though Frankenstein is nice, he's part of it, so he has to get sucked into limbo. And there's a really sweet scene between him and Phoebe, and she throws him her little plush dog Scraps. And he's like, "Bye, Phoebe."
Waves at him.
"Don't go, Frankenstein, don't go." And he gets sucked in, but he's pretty happy. He's got a big smile on his face. He's going through the fucking Buchanan. He'll be fine.
Yeah, again, what do we say earlier? He's going to be hanging out with the other Frankensteins.
Yeah, he's going to get dumped out in Switzerland, and everything's going to be fine.
Army of Frankensteins. It exists in the movie. We should cover that eventually. I know it's not very good.
Well, we did Frankenstein's Army.
I know, but this is like the reversal. This is the movie dumpster version.
Oh, gotcha.
Except it's a movie that really exists. But just, we talked about it.
Every iteration of Frankenstein is somewhere on the timeline.
Somewhere on the timeline. But yeah, the movie kind of just wraps up. It's there's not much else I can really say. Like everything went to shit.
And like everybody's getting together, and it's funny because like Rudy puts his arm around Pat's sister.
She's not
like,
having it.
She's not having it. I think it's funny, but the fucking army shows up. The army rolls in with like tanks. And shit.
Yeah. I guess that's
And he's
what
like,
I meant
all right,
by
where are
that.
those monsters? Who's Eugene? Where's Eugene? And he's like, it's me, sir. And he's like, where's those monsters, Eugene? And he's just like,
Mommy came in my house. This is why I also think of a Monster in the Closet a little. It almost feels like,
kind of.
even though it's like a throwback to the Universal Monsters, it's just like a throwback to that type of movie in general.
Yeah, but Sean,
Because the army element.
Yeah, he's like, can anybody tell me what the fuck's going on here? And Sean's like, I believe I can, sir. Hands him the fucking card.
Yeah, so
like,
I guess Pat's work was important after all.
Well, who are you? We're the Monster Squad, TM.
With every character in the movie behind them, I guess implying mom and dad are now also part of it.
It's just great, and they're all
it is.
They like give each other high fives and hugs and shit, and then the fucking Monster Squad rap kicks up.
Music kicks up.
You know,
yeah.
it's just so good. They got work to do, man.
They gotta clean this fucking town square up. There's papers all over the place.
Dracula and the creature from the Black Lagoon, and all of them, they're all gone. They're all dead, and we're good to go. What other monsters you think? Are they gonna have to fight Phantom of the Opera or
I was gonna say much
the
like
Invisible Man?
I was gonna say Invisible Man. Much like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, he was on the boat at the end there. Vincent Price did the voice.
That's right, he was.
We don't know if maybe he fell in that fucking lake too. Is he alive? Did he hit the water and his legs broke and that was the end of
He's
it?
just running around naked somewhere doing something. Yeah.
I mean, he is a creepy fuck. It's probably in the women's bath.
Or it's Ed Begley Jr., but he's not really invisible. He's just running around naked.
Like in the Applegates, right?
Right. Well, in Amazon Women of the Moon. Or is that
was what it was actually from,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And that's it, dude. That is the Monster Squad.
That's it.
What treat is this in our treat bag, my man?
Well, I was gonna say shelf with the way you started that easily, but I was thinking about this, going back to the Universal Monsters kind of analogies that we've been talking about, and I gotta talk. In the '90s, they actually had these out when we were kids.
Yeah.
This candy cigarettes with the Universal Monsters on the side. Do you remember those?
No, I don't remember those.
Back in the day, I don't know. Maybe
are those the little packs?
little packs.
They're like the little thin packs, right? Is that
yeah.
what they are? Yeah.
In the '90s, they had a whole line with like the Universal Monsters. I don't know if they had like some kind of deal with the candy cigarette people. I'm not that. I didn't do any research for this bit here.
The Universal Monsters are endorsing smoking. Got it.
Yeah, but only the candy kind,
Right.
guess. Don't overthink it. That's what candy in my treat bag it is. It brings back memories of those movies. It makes me remember, literally, like I said, the first time I saw this film. Even if it wasn't on constant rotation in the house, we didn't have the tapes, so like I said, I had to kind of hunt for it. But I've watched it many times since then. Definitely not one of my favorite movies ever, but like if you're trying to get this kind of vibe and you don't want to just pick one of those movies, but you want the feeling of those movies, it's an easy one to jump to. It's always fun, and like the only real negative isn't even a negative per se for me, is that there's really no plot. It's kind of just like the monsters are here, the kids know about it, they're gonna try to stop them. And there's a couple other little things like with.
I mean, we've been talking about it for an hour and a half.
We have been, but I guess I mean by that, like I mentioned Fright Night, only because I just watched that also recently. Like that plot goes places. There's a lot of there's not that many twists, I guess is what I mean by that.
Okay, I mean it's straightforward.
It's straightforward. That's a better way to put it.
But the human characters are
they make
very
the movie,
very
man.
developed.
The effects, the characters, that's what this movie's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't need a crazy plot like a Fright Night, I guess. I guess that's what I meant by
It's just
that.
a different kind of movie.
Yeah. Tom Noonan in particular is great in this. He doesn't get to say a lot. He does have those lines, bogus, and some of those commercial one-liners like the "Give Me the Break." But he does a lot with a little. And I mean by like not being able to say a lot, much like other Frankenstein actors have in the past. And I do wonder if he has talked about that. Maybe that's in that documentary, how he felt about playing the part.
I think he really enjoyed playing the part, and it was a cool thing. There's also like an interview with him as Frankenstein, which is kind of fun.
That's cool. And I think if you've seen all those old movies, it enhances it. Like even the horror films, like they're pulling a little bit from that. It's mostly those old Universal ones. But like if you're a fan of just monsters, and you've grown up with these movies, or hey, if you're new to this kind of shit and you're like, hey, I saw Monster Squad, but I've never taken the deep dive, maybe this episode will kind of turn you on to that idea. Yep. If not, hey, I suggest doing it. They're just kind of timeless creatures, and Monster Squad captured that. Fred Dekker captured that, the concepts behind them, and just kind of put them in this time capsule that we can always kind of return to. without doing a ton of legwork. Because like, some of those old movies, like you could buy the Blu-rays, you could find them streaming, but it's getting harder and harder as the years go by. Thank God Monster Squad's still readily available.
Well, it just got a new UHD
there you
disc,
go.
so but for how much longer? Because Kino Lorber shit is usually kind of limited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess long story short, I'm just very happy that we got to cover it because it is one of those classic films that even if you don't love it, you always remember it. And honestly, I'd be shocked to hear anyone say they don't at least enjoy it. I mean, let me know in the comments or let us know in the comments if for some reason you don't like this one and kind of explain that one to me because I'm scratching my head.
I'd rather hear how you like this movie.
No, I would too. I'm just kind of curious. If anyone has that opinion, because sometimes people do leave those comments and it does make me scratch my head. Sometimes, other times I understand. But this is just a timeless classic, Joe.
It's so good.
It's those cigarettes that you don't want to light up and get cancer from. You might get diabetes if you eat too many.
Just chew a couple of them chalk sticks.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shove them in your gullet.
One of my favorite snacks of all time is a Rice Krispie treat.
Ooh.
So what I'm going to say is that this is a monster cereal Rice Krispie treat.
Oh, like a double whammy.
Yeah,
Ooh.
man.
I want one now.
Yeah, it's just part of who I am. I don't know how much more I could possibly gush about this movie.
Maybe that's why I'm kind of being a little redundant here. I feel the same, yeah.
I mean, it's got everything you want. It's got all the monsters. It's got really good special effects. It's got a strong cast of kids that are not only have great comedic timing, but are super likable. They can all act. You want to be part of the squad. You know, I've always wanted to be part of the Monster Squad. And just Rudy's so fucking cool, and each one has their own thing that they do, and their own little arc that kind of happens. You know what I mean? It's just so excellent, and like I said before, like Duncan is one of my favorite Draculas of all time. I think he's fantastic, and Tom Noonan is great as Frankenstein. And I love how I still can't get over, even to this day, like how Stan Winston and all the people at that group that we talked about earlier were able to take classic iconic characters and put a new spin on them, but still feel the same way and still give you a great. There's still the characters you know and love, but with like a new coat of paint.
I think it's what we've been trying to say this whole episode.
And I don't think that it's ever been equaled. Like we've had we've had more Frankenstein movies. We've had other Wolfman movies. We've had other Mummy movies and stuff, but nothing really hit like the originals, but in a more modern way, and did it successfully, in my opinion.
I mean, they tried to do that dark universe version, never got there with it.
Get away from me with that.
It wasn't even what we want either. I'm just saying.
You know, we're also kind of like on the eve of that new Wolfman movie that's coming out.
There's a bunch of stuff in that vein. I mean, there was the Invisible Man by also
because they're trying
him.
to build up like the whole Dracula Untold bullshit. You know, the dark universe or whatever.
Still trying to do it.
Like they're trying to build up this stupid fucking dark universe thing, and we've already got it, guys.
Yeah,
that's the thing. This movie's from 1987. Okay?
Put that one on a pedestal more. Exactly.
This movie is as old as I am. It's 37 fucking years old. And it's still the best monster movie where they all come together, in my opinion. You could say Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
I was going to say, because we mentioned the song Monster Mash, the animated one, or the
Mad Monster Party, you mean.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, in my opinion, it's nearly perfect. It has become this amazing cult classic. It didn't get the notoriety it deserved when it came out, and clearly now, I mean, and especially in the past 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, even now at this point,
right? Yeah.
It had its resurgence, and people have found it again, and its love for it, and it's still going strong, and it is such a staple for me of the Halloween season to give it a spin, and I look forward to it every year, and it always satisfies.
Oh yeah,
it never disappoints. It's always fun. I can't wait to watch this with my niece. When she gets old enough to watch this, I think that's going to be really fun.
You got to find a TV cut. There's got to be a TV cut.
Oh, there's absolute TV cuts
for kids. You cut out the "you bitch" part. You get the rest of that line and just cut the tail end off. It's not as impactful, but at least the kids go watch it. Then,
yeah. So, and just in terms of like gateway horror, I mean,
this and The Gate come to mind.
Well, we said Gremlins is a good gateway horror, but this is a little bit more raunchier than Gremlins. But I think this might take the Taco Man as far as teen horror.
It fits the prescription.
Yeah. That's discrimination, jerkoid.
Yeah. We didn't talk about that, but that's a good joke.
Prescriptions drugs is what you're on if you think this movie sucks.
I was kind of implying that earlier, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's just it's a timeless classic.
I think I said the same thing.
Like it's just so damn good. And again, like it just with all that being said, I know we've gushed about it for quite long enough, but it breathed life into the Universal monsters again and kind of propelled them into the 90s.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe that's why they were big again in the 90s.
Yeah.
And
they were doing
toys and shit.
Coors Light advertisements and remember the McDonald's toys of all the Universal monsters?
I'll never forget the damn Cheerios commercial with Frankenstein, and that might have been in the 2000s, but that's a classic too.
I mean, Super 7 is doing all the classic monster stuff now, so it's just fantastic, and I don't think Fred or Shane get specifically Fred. Shane has gone on to do directed Iron Man movie, Iron Man 3, I think he did.
I think so, yeah.
And they even teamed up to come back together to do The Predator, which
not people were that into.
Unfortunately, wasn't great. But you can't take the Monster Squad or Night of the Creeps away from Fred.
Never.
And it's fucking great, and I just love it so much.
But if you want some more Movie Dumpster content, you could always head over to patreon.com/Movie Dumpster. You can also get yourself an ad-free version of the show for as little as $2 a month. We also have great stuff like live watch-alongs on there, commentary tracks. You get yourself some physical items like a t-shirt, Movie Dumpster t-shirt, a glow-in-the-dark pin, and a lot more. We also have a light version of that over on YouTube where you get some digital stuff like those commentary tracks and mini-sodes. But if you want more, check out Patreon, and we'd love to see you.
And yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor and like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, do us a favor, leave that 5-star review and leave us a comment and a review because it really helps the show get the show out to more people that might enjoy it. Some other dumpster dwellers, get them in here and let's all hang out together.
And if you want to keep up with the Dumpster Boys, you can always follow us at Movie Dumpster on social media or head over to MovieDumpsterPodcast.com. We've got a calendar with all our upcoming events, live events, all our episodes, new episodes are posted on there. We also have a store if you want to get yourself a t-shirt like we talked about, the Girl Scout Nards, Joe Buchanan Horse t-shirts. We got a whole lot of other stuff on there, MD t-shirts. Check it out, MovieDumpsterPodcast.com if you're interested.
So yeah, that's it. That's The Monster Squad from 1987, directed by Fred Dekker. I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
Thanks for visiting the dumpster.